just for a few days, there's a very particular interesting car here in Malta, and I caught up with Frederick, the owner, to discuss this DeTomaso Pantera. How did your association with the Pantera start, Frederick?
Well, it actually started out of, I had a car before that I built and tried to build it myself, and that came out so-so. And then I realized what I really want is a mid-engine Italian supercar, but they are quite pricey. So I started to look around and I realized, you know what, the Pantera, normally known as an American supercar, it's really that. It's an Italian-made, Italian design, sleek body out of the 70s. That's what I want. And the price range at that time was quite good. So I started looking for one and found one in a garden shed in Sweden.
In what condition?
It was totally rusted out. No, the previous owner had bought it, and he had too many cars. His wife didn't like that, so he actually hid it away in a garden shed. He was going to pick up his son one day from school and was going to show off a little bit, floored it down the highway, lost oil pressure, engine blew up, and he just rolled it back into that garage, never to open it again. And then he moved away, so he moved to Thailand, left the house, left the car, and there it sat for 20 years. And I found this rusted out shell, no wheels, no engine, no floor, left door was missing, all of that. So, and I said, that's mine, I'll buy it.
You had two options, either to go for a genuine restoration or to take everything into your hands and go your own way. Yeah. And which did you choose?
Well, you see, it didn't end up original. But the thing is that it's also part of the story. I didn't want to have a mint condition car, because what I really wanted to do is to build a race car. Eventually, or really from the beginning, the idea was to build a proper historic race car of it, because I like what I like about these cars is a little bit of the excitement and danger about racing. There's a little bit of extra adrenaline added to it. And looking at the Pantera Group 4 race car, they really have what I like. These arches, these fat wheels, the low stands. That's what I wanted to do. And that's why I also thought that finding a restoration car would be great, because then I wouldn't feel so sad about cutting it up. So that's a little bit why we went this route. It was rusted out. I could do whatever I did with the car would actually make it better, because it was sitting there 20 years quite sad in a garden shed. Now, some people might say it's not original to the purest perfection, but it's better than a garden shed piece.
Who did you engage to actually carry out the project for you?
I mean, as said, I managed to build one car myself, but that was more just putting pieces together. You can do that, but if you want to build something, if you want to craft something, I didn't have the skill for it. So I started to call a couple of companies around Sweden, because that's where I lived at the moment, and no one ever even called me back. No one was interested in doing it. And one of the guys though did call me back and said, "Come by the shop. We mostly sell spare parts, but I have a mechanic, a builder. He's a true genius in crafting things, but he does it. He takes his time with it." It's like, yeah, okay, it doesn't matter. I'm not in a hurry. And we met up, and this guy, his name is Anders Bjelkelöv, but he goes under the name of Token. So Token came over, had a look at it, say, let's do something with this one. And then we shipped it off. It was 2 days before Christmas. It was snowing in Sweden, and off it went, and that's how it started.
However, there was a lot of input from your end.
Yes. I mean, I won't give him all the credit. I can give him credit for building it, but the design and getting to this stage was more of a, something that we did together. Because I had the vision of this race car, and he, of course, had sort of a similar vision. We shared it, we looked at some pictures, we said, this is cool, this is nice. Anyhow, along the way, it took a little bit of a different turn, and that's when we started calling each other more often to design ideas and figure out how to do with things. So, yeah, I think it was a shared build over a shared vision.
You introduced lots of modern materials as well in the build.
Yes, we did put in quite a lot of new materials in the build, and there was not an intention to do that from the beginning. As I said, having that vision of the race car, we started building it. when we sandblasted it at one point, it came back as nothing, and we said, what do we want to do now? We need to replace every bit of the metal that's left. That's the roof, actually. That's left of the original, more or less. Everything else fell apart. And then we said, let's build something. Let's be more creative then. Let's not stick to the original. Let's make a homage of a Group 4 race car. And that's really took a turn in the whole build, because I had bought a couple of things that I wanted to have for the race car itself. The wheels, for example, was out of the Group 4 race car. The wheel archers are actually molds of a Group 4 car. So that stayed. But then we started taking in the different materials, like the seats. Actually, the wheels and the seats are the whole blueprint for the car, because the wheels, they have their more authentic look, and the seats were carbon fiber, all bells and whistles. I ordered them from Tillet in the UK, and they, we put everything in there. And then when I got them, it's like, these are beautiful. Let's build a car in this fashion. Exactly. So that's how it came to be. The colors on the car is from the seats, actually, and all of that. A lot of things we had to recreate. As I said, it was very rusty. So all the fenders, these are hand-rolled steel, and actually most of the engine bay is hand-rolled steel as well. But then the doors, again, this door was completely missing. It was so rusted, so we just had to, patch it. Yeah, but we patched it up, and then we said, this won't hold. We either need to buy new doors or we need to do something else. We said, let's patch it up, and then we make a mold out of it, and we do them in carbon fiber instead. So we started with that, and I think we did 4 or 5 different doors before we settled for this one. So it became, when you have free hands to create, and you're not stuck that it has to be original like this, we went all out looking at how do you get it looking the way I want it to look. And if you look at it like this, if you've seen a Group 4 Pantera, you recognize lots of the things, but there are lots of details you don't see, like as you mentioned there, all the lines in the front are totally rebuilt. As I said, these were hand built from scratch, and then we changed since the lights is pop-up headlights, they normally sit up here, we changed them, and then the line of everything follows the original line of the front of the hood. So you got this sweeping line that you go through the air scoops, the headlights, the front of the fenders, the lip as well on the splitter. All of this, it looks like it's built like this, but it's not. It just came out, and there was no drawings of it. We never did any drawing. So this guy Token, he fabricates everything out of aluminium. He starts with that, and then he bends it into shape, and it's like, this is cool. Let's do it like this, and then off we go, and then we made molds out of it. So this is carbon fiber. All of this is carbon fiber, but it's painted. I didn't want to leave it raw, because that just looks like, look at me, I have carbon fiber. That doesn't look well, so it's painted to look like it's not.
You explained that even when it came to the floor, you inverted the process. Rather than leaving the beams on the bottom, they're actually on the top of the floor. So you have a flat floor, but the car ended up being much lower.
Yes, so it sits very low. To be honest, I think that the suspension is lowered as well, but it looks really low to the ground, and that is exactly because of that. So again, there was no floor in it. Everything was rusted out, and when we cut it open, the first thing we actually did was to put a beam in the back for the engine to start building on top of it. And then we said, okay, let's turn it around. Why do we leave all of this underneath the car? That's where you get the rust as well, in all those small crevices. So we just flipped it, and that became also the look and feel for the interior, because you got all these beams in here and a little bit of racy feelings. It looks more racy.
The seats onto them.
Yeah, exactly. So the seat just goes on them instead of them being under the floor. So you got a bit of that. And again, it makes it sit much lower. But truth be told, the space in here is actually it's more roomy than a normal Pantera because of that.
I like the detail, the gear lever, the steering wheel. A lot of thought was put into that as well.
Yes, when you look at it, and you and I have discussed it as well, there are hints of Pagani in there are hints of Lamborghini, there are hints of, as I said, the air vents here on the side is actually something that comes of
Although the car looks beautiful aesthetically on the outside, but my favorite part is actually over here under the hood. I think what you've done, if we can open it up so
We'll
our
open it up
viewers.
for sure. Yes, a lot of time and effort went into this. And it's been in and out of the car so many times, so I think he actually had to go up a dimension in all the screw holes because they got open and removed and open and removed so many times.
What did you use as an engine?
So originally it has the 351 Cleveland engine in it, but since we didn't go original, I found an original engine. I have the original transaxle. We wanted to go with that first, but said no, let's not do that. Let's try to get a modern engine in. While we were building this, another customer in the same garage actually bought this engine for his car, but he ended up with something else. So this was sitting on a pallet. It's a Ford modular, built by Ford Racing Division. So it's a full aluminum engine with the interior made for overcharging. So it was brand new. It was never started. It had sit still for 12 years, I think, on that pallet when we got it. But we opened it up and it looked brand spanking new. So it's a Ford model. It's actually a small block, or it's 4.6. But it has the dual overhead camshafts and 32 valves. So it's a good engine.
A good base, but you actually tuned it up quite a bit.
Yes, so we mated it first with that Audi R8 transaxle because they don't fit together, but we made an adapter. But when we looked at it, it just looked, odd and not really up to what we wanted to do. So eventually we found a brand new transaxle out of a Ford GT 2005. They have the same bolt pattern, so it just screws directly onto it. And then we said, of course, small block engine, but it was made for a compressor, I think, from the beginning. But that's the classic American way of doing it, smacking a compressor on top of it. No, we wanted turbos. So we got the mirrored twin precision turbos, and instead of trying to cramp them in the engine bay as close to the exhaust as possible, we said, we have lots of space out here because we cut all of this open. So let's let them hang out and become a little bit of a piece as well. When you see it from behind, it looks cool, and then you look down
the
a little bit.
symmetry is unbelievable.
Yes. So the symmetry is, as I said, a very important piece of it. You want it to look right.
How complete do you reckon the car is at this point in time?
That's a good question. I don't know what to answer on that, but I would say, though, that I think it would be somewhere around 85–90% perhaps. There are details, and if you're a perfectionist, you really want to redo some small things. Also, since it hasn't really been sorted out, there are bits and pieces also mapping the engine and fine-tuning things. And there are small dents here and there because we shipped it back and forth. So all that has to be done. And I think that's the last bits and pieces we need to do on it.
But do you actually ever want it to be complete?
No,
or?
It will never be complete. It's like that, you redo a room in your house and you will not put on that last, cover around the window. That's always going to be missing until you sell the house, then you'll fix it. But no, I don't think it ever will be completed. There will always be one more thing to fix, but right now we have to wrap this up and make sure that it looks complete with the pieces we have. But there are plans.
And that's to make way for something else? That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So there's always something else. And I think that part of doing this, it was not just always about the car. It's about the passion around the car. It's about the people you meet and the stories you have, and also together with Anders who built the car, really have that dialogue about creating something together. And I think that was the most interesting thing with it. It's the journey, really. I haven't driven this car more than on and off ramps back and forth into garages now, but that meant that if we're getting this close to completing it, I don't want it to end there. So yes, I bought another project we're going to start with. And actually, just this week, I tried to find an engine to that project, ending up in me buying yet another car. So now I have two projects.
So we'll make an appointment with our viewers at a later stage, and we can catch up on that.
We can have a follow-up story, I promise you. It's quite two interesting cars that it's now going to be built in that garage. But this one is dear to me.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.